Do you guys remember the Locathah, the weird fish people we talked about back when Ghosts of Saltmarsh came out? Well, if you're unaware, there's a new adventure come out called Locathah Rising, where you can get a whole new one-shot adventure, but also get statistics to play as a Locathah yourself. If any of that sounds interesting, stay tuned. All right, folks. So here we are on D&D Beyond. We have Locathah Rising. Today we're just going to discuss the race. We will do future things about new monsters as well as the adventure itself. But here you can see it is on D&D Beyond. It's also available on the DM's Guild. It's a $9.99 purchase price. You get it, you have it forever. The little disclaimer is a successful adventure is really more about the friends you make along the way rather than the monsters you slay while you play. We're here to talk about the Locathah. I guess this is what they look like. They're sort of a long-whiskered fishy people, and this one's got an otter for a friend. So let's see what the new race gets. Your strength increases by 2 and your dexterity increases by 1. They mature to adulthood at the age of 10 and live to about 80 years. Cater towards more neutral alignments. Natural armor. You have tough, scaly skin. When you aren't wearing armor, your AC is 12 plus your dexterity modifier. You can use your natural armor to determine your AC if the armor you would wear would leave you with a lower AC. A shield's benefits also apply as normal while you use this natural armor. It's interesting to see how they keep changing the way they refer to different types of armor. So essentially what this gives you is the equivalency of studded leather armor all the time, right? 12 plus your dexterity modifier. It does still work with a shield. Observant and athletic. You are proficient in the athletics and perception skills. Very good. Leviathan will. You have advantage on saving throws against being charmed, frightened, paralyzed, poisoned, stunned, or put to sleep. Not too many spells put you to sleep that I can think of off the top of my head. Sleep being one, but that doesn't give you a saving throw. But again, charmed, frightened, paralyzed, poisoned, and stunned. That's some of the most hard-hitting conditions, especially paralyzed and stunned. There may be a couple in there that I'm not thinking of. Petrified, I guess, would be one. Limited amphibiousness. You can breathe air and water, but you need to be submerged at least once every 4 hours to avoid suffocating. We saw this with the grung. That was an option that the grung had as well. So this is sort of a disappointment in my mind, which is why they're harder. Not too many people are going to play them. So you can breathe both, but you have to be in water every 4 hours, completely submerged, or you're going to start suffocating. There's obviously ways you can think of to get around this by filling a portable hole with water, or filling a bag of holding with water, or some other method similar to that so you can have water to submerge yourself in no matter where you go. They're medium size, 5. So this thing, which looks super tiny, stands between 5 and 6 feet tall, weighs on average about 150 pounds. Base walking speed is 30 feet, a swim speed of 30 feet, and you can speak, read, and write Aquan and Common. Aquan being the kind of water-specific primordial language. So what do I think about the Locathah? I think they're super cool, and they kind of give me a fish version of a lizard folk vibe. Or like, if a UNT is a snake person, a lizard folk is a lizard person, this is the fish person. I like them. I think they're cool looking. They give me a creature from the Black Lagoonish style vibe. I guess, again, if we're going with that, the grung was the frog people. What kind of class? So it's interesting that, because I wouldn't think that this is a strength-based character. In my mind, just looking at it and it being a swimmer, my brain would go to dexterity, but thinking about it, swimming is more of a strength-based ability than it is a dexterity-based ability, the ability to push yourself through the waves. Obviously, there are creatures that, are different from that. It's very interesting because looks like you'd probably want to be a strength-based class, right? You're going to get a strength bonus and a dex bonus. You're going to get the benefit of studded leather armor. Unfortunately, most of the classes that are going to give you that are wholly strength-based, again, any class can be strength-based, but classes that are specifically tied to strength, things like a barbarian, a fighter, a paladin, those, I guess, a ranger potentially, depending on the type of ranger you want to be, those all provide you with some form of armor. Like you'll get medium armor, you'll get light armor. So the natural armor piece, or unarmored defense in the case of, say, a monk or a barbarian, so unarmored defense isn't going to stack with this, so that's not going to work. So my mind is for the net. It's kind of a weird dichotomy, right? You're going to get athletics and perception, two of the most powerful abilities for a strength-based character. Perception, the end-all be-all skill in 5th edition, the one that everybody's going to want to have because it's always going to come up. If you're a strength-based character, there's only one strength-based skill in the game, and that's athletics, so you're going to want to have that. These advantage on saving throws are huge. Again, if you're playing someone like a barbarian or something like that, typically, not always, but typically your wisdom saves are not going to be the best. So giving yourself advantage on saves against those pretty powerful effects is going to do a lot to have you still be in the fight and still doing what you need to do. The swim speed is kind of just a bonus. The limited amphibiousness, also good depending on where you are about water. The downside being you need to submerge yourself every 4 hours. So it's interesting because a lot of the other abilities and the ability scores go together, but the natural armor is the one that seems sort of out of place to me. Again, there's not saying you couldn't be a dex-based fighter, let's say, and be a Locathah, because you could. Dex-based fighters can be very efficient, and that could be something, and then you get the benefit of studded leather armor without having to wear it, but you get that proficiency anyway. So the way I see it is it kind of goes one of two ways. You go for the boost to the strength and the supplemental abilities, the saving throws, the skill proficiencies, possibly the swim speed, and that gets you all of that, and you may potentially end up wearing something like heavy armor, but you're at less of a detriment because you could still swim underwater if you fell, if you were wearing heavy armor. Or you go for the opposite side and go for something that doesn't get armor proficiency, like a caster or something like that, possibly. That way you'll get the benefit of the boosted AC, but you'd still have a higher AC with mage armor. Yeah, nothing really jumps out at me. Like I said, maybe Ranger. I'm not a huge advocate of Ranger in general, so I don't know, but there's obviously ways you could play this class or this race in a bunch of different classes, but it's an interesting mix. And obviously, if you're doing this purely on roleplay, not based on stat specifics, then this can obviously go any way you want. Or if you happen to roll stats or have some other creative method of generating your ability scores, and you can get something that's really high and your race abilities don't really matter at all, then this will go even further. But I'm curious, what do you guys think? Will you be paying the $9 to pick up a copy of this for yourself? The $10, basically, $9.99 to get a copy either here on D&D Beyond or on the DM's Guild? Is this worth it? Again, like I said, there's potentially new creatures and a whole adventure around it, so it's not just the racial stats, but I figured that's something that everybody really cares about, so I wanted to cover it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.